It was just past midnight when the world's richest man found himself stranded at a tiny airport outside Houston. His private jet had broken down. The rain was pouring, and the terminal was completely deserted. Most billionaires in his position would have demanded a helicopter, a replacement jet, or some kind of VIP rescue. But instead, Elon Musk pulled out his phone and called an Uber. What should have been an ordinary late-night ride turned into something far stranger. Because behind the wheel of that modest Toyota Camry wasn't just another driver trying to make ends meet. Sitting in the front seat was a man carrying secrets that NASA itself had buried. Equations so advanced they could reshape the future of space travel. And in the next few hours, this unlikely meeting between a tech billionaire and an aging Uber driver would set off a chain of events that no one could have predicted, one that might just change the course of human history. The night was supposed to be routine. Elon Musk had flown into Houston for meetings at SpaceX's Starbase facility, but his plans came to a screeching halt when the jet's engine failed just minutes after landing. By the time the ground crew broke the news, the airport was practically empty. The staff had gone home, the storm clouds hung heavy, and the clock was ticking toward midnight. Inside the dimly lit terminal, Elon paced restlessly. Every wasted hour gnawed at him, because in his mind, delays weren't just inconveniences. They were setbacks to humanity's mission to reach Mars. His assistant suggested a luxury hotel in the city, promising a car would arrive in 7 minutes. Musk frowned. Not a limousine, not a private shuttle, just a regular Uber. For most people, it would be nothing unusual. But for Elon Musk, it was almost laughable. Still, with no other options in the stormy night, he agreed. Minutes later, headlights cut through the drizzle. A modest white Toyota Camry pulled up to the curb. Elon picked up his small bag, muttered a curse under his breath, and stepped into the back seat. He didn't know it yet, but this would be no ordinary ride. This was the moment that would alter everything. The car smelled faintly of pine, clean and carefully kept, nothing like the rush rides most Uber passengers knew. At the wheel sat an elderly man with calm, steady hands and a neatly trimmed white beard. His voice was soft, carrying a faint accent as he confirmed the destination, the Four Seasons downtown. Elon barely looked up at first. His mind was already buried in unread emails and missed messages. But then, something on the dashboard caught his attention. A notepad, left casually in view, covered not with grocery lists or reminders, but with page after page of numbers, formulas, and strange symbols. Elon leaned forward, his sharp eyes narrowing. These weren't ordinary calculations. They were complex, advanced orbital mechanics, propulsion formulas, the kind of equations only a highly trained engineer could write. The driver noticed Elon's gaze and, almost too quickly, snapped the notepad shut. His tone was polite, almost dismissive. Just old habits, Mr. Musk. Doodling helps pass the time. But Elon knew better. These weren't doodles. And as he studied the man to the rearview mirror, he realized something. This wasn't just a driver. This was someone carrying a secret far bigger than a late-night Uber shift. Elon couldn't resist pressing further. With a pointed curiosity, he mentioned the formulas he had glimpsed. To his surprise, the driver gave a small, weary smile. "You have a good eye, Mr. Musk," he said softly. "That comes from many years at NASA." The words hit Elon like a jolt. NASA? This man, this Uber driver, wasn't just dabbling in advanced math. He was a veteran of America's greatest space program. His name, he revealed, was Haruki Tanaka. For more than 3 decades, he had worked at the Johnson Space Center, specializing in propulsion systems for the Space Shuttle program. As the city lights flickered across his face, Haruki explained how he had once designed fuel systems that shaved thousands of pounds off every launch. His safety protocols had flown on missions that carried astronauts into orbit. He had been a trusted engineer, a mind behind the machines that reached the stars. But then the shuttle program ended. Budgets were cut, promises of pensions crumbled, and like so many brilliant minds of his generation, Haruki was quietly pushed into early retirement, discarded by the very institution he had given his life to. Now, in his 70s, he drove strangers around Houston at night, not for pleasure, but to pay for his wife's mounting medical bills. To Elon, the thought was staggering. A man who had once helped America touch the sky was now reduced to driving an Uber through midnight rain. And yet, hidden inside his pocket was a notepad filled with equations that could still change the future. As the car rolled quietly down the highway, Elon leaned forward, unwilling to let the moment pass. "Those weren't old doodles," he said firmly. "That was propulsion math. Delta V optimization, fuel efficiency calculations, cutting-edge work. Where did you learn this?" Haruki's hands tightened on the wheel. For a long moment, he said nothing. Then, with the kind of honesty that comes only from someone too tired to lie, he admitted the truth. Those equations weren't from the past. They were from a project he was still working on. Elon's pulse quickened. He listened as Haruki explained how he had been tinkering for years in his garage, sketching designs that could make rockets not just slightly better, but radically more efficient. His notepad contained theoretical blueprints for engines that could slash fuel use, extend range, and maybe even unlock entirely new methods of interplanetary travel. NASA had dismissed his ideas as too speculative. Aerospace companies had ignored him, branding him too old or overqualified. But the numbers didn't lie. Even from a quick glance, Elon could see the brilliance in them. For a man obsessed with getting humanity to Mars, this wasn't just interesting, it was electrifying. Sitting in the back of a Toyota Camry, Elon Musk realized he might have stumbled upon the one thing SpaceX desperately needed, a missing piece of the puzzle that could take rockets and humanity farther than anyone thought possible. And for Haruki, it was the first time in years that someone with real power had actually listened. By the time the Camry pulled up to the hotel entrance, Elon wasn't thinking about emails or schedules anymore. He was thinking about Haruki, about the wasted potential. The brilliance left to rot in the garage because no one believed in it. The next evening, curiosity pulled him to Haruki's modest suburban home. What he found there shocked him even more than the equations. The garage was no ordinary workspace. It was a private laboratory. Whiteboards crammed with 15 years of calculations. Stacks of worn notebooks filled with sketches, diagrams, and ideas that looked like the foundations of a new era in space travel. In the corner, a rough prototype sat cobbled together from spare parts. But just as striking was what waited inside the house. Haruki's wife, May, sat bundled in blankets, her body weakened by illness but her spirit unwavering. Despite her fragile state, she had stayed up, waiting for her husband to return safely from his late-night driving shifts. Their granddaughter, Kira, hovered nearby, a 22-year-old engineering student with the same spark in her eyes that her grandfather once had. She understood his work better than anyone, often staying up with him in the garage to help refine equations that others would have dismissed as fantasy. For Haruki, every Uber shift wasn't just about bills. It was about medicine, treatments, survival. Behind his quiet demeanor was a man carrying the weight of his family on his shoulders. And now, for the first time, there was a chance that his hidden sacrifices, his long nights, his fading hope, might finally mean something. Elon Musk wasn't just intrigued. He was determined. Most billionaires would have shaken Haruki's hand, praised his genius, and moved on with their lives. But Elon Musk wasn't most billionaires. He canceled his scheduled SpaceX meetings and cleared his calendar. Something told him this wasn't a coincidence. This was destiny knocking on his window during a midnight Uber ride. The very next morning, Elon's team arranged a car for Haruki, his wife May, and their granddaughter Kira. They were brought not to a corporate boardroom, but to the beating heart of SpaceX's Texas facility. For Haruki, walking into the engineering lab was like stepping back into a world he thought he had lost forever. The smell of machinery, the hum of computers, the rows of prototypes, all of it rekindled a fire that had been buried under years of quiet struggle. The SpaceX engineers crowded around as Haruki reluctantly opened his notepad. What started as hesitant explanations soon grew into animated lectures, equations flowing effortlessly from memory, diagrams sketched with the clarity of a man who had never truly retired. Engineers who had doubted him minutes earlier were suddenly leaning in, whispering to each other in shock. They weren't just hearing theory. They were seeing solutions. By the end of the day, Elon made his move. "Join SpaceX," he he told Haruki. Work with us. We'll build your lab, give you full benefits, cover your wife's treatments, and give you credit for everything you create. No limits, no red tape. Just you, your mind, and the future. For a moment, Haruki hesitated. He looked at May, frail but smiling proudly. He looked at Kira, her eyes burning with excitement. And he looked back at Elon Musk, the man who saw value in what the world had thrown away. This wasn't just a job offer. It was a gamble on genius, on family, on the possibility that one forgotten mind might change the destiny of space exploration. Elon Musk had expected efficiency improvements, maybe clever fuel-saving tricks, perhaps even a smarter engine nozzle design. What he didn't expect was impossible. Late one evening, inside Haruki's cluttered garage-turned-lab, the older man pulled out a battered leather notebook. Its pages were yellowed, edges worn, filled with equations unlike anything the SpaceX engineers had seen before. Elon leaned closer as Haruki flipped through diagrams that seemed almost unreal. This isn't just about better rockets, Haruki said quietly. This is about rewriting how we move through space itself. At first, the room fell silent. The equations hinted at something audacious, a method of manipulating the fabric of space-time, not to travel faster than light, but to bend distance itself, folding it so that far-off worlds could suddenly be within reach. It wasn't a warp drive out of science fiction. It was something more subtle, more dangerous, and far more real. The younger engineer scoffed. That's impossible, one muttered, but Elon didn't flinch. He studied the formulas, his mind racing, and asked the only question that mattered. Have you tested this? Haruki and Kira exchanged a look. Then, almost reluctantly, Haruki confessed, years ago, with crude equipment, I managed to create a microscopic distortion, just for a few seconds. It collapsed almost immediately, but it worked. The weight of those words hung heavy in the room. If true, it meant Haruki had already taken the first step toward wormholes, toward interstellar travel not in centuries, but possibly within a single lifetime. For Elon, the decision was immediate. Then we go all in, he said. Whatever resources you need, labs, funding, people, it's yours. Because if this is real, we're no longer talking about Mars. We're talking about the stars. It all began with a broken jet, a midnight rainstorm, and a $100 Uber ride. What should have been a forgettable inconvenience for Elon Musk instead became the spark that revealed a hidden genius, an engineer long forgotten by the world, quietly carrying equations that might reshape humanity's future. Haruki Tanaka wasn't a CEO, a billionaire, or a Silicon Valley celebrity. He was a retired NASA engineer, a husband caring for his ailing wife, a grandfather tinkering in his garage. And yet, inside his notebooks were ideas so extraordinary that they could turn science fiction into reality, propulsion systems that could change space exploration, and theories that hinted at bending the fabric of the universe itself. For Elon Musk, the encounter wasn't chance. It was opportunity. For Haruki, it was redemption. And for humanity, it might be the first step toward a future far beyond Mars. Because if Haruki's equations prove true, then the stars aren't centuries away. They're waiting just beyond the bend of space-time. So the question is, how many other forgotten minds, hidden in plain sight, are holding the keys to humanity's next great leap? And if you enjoyed this story and want more hidden tales of genius, power, and the people shaping our future, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon, because the next story might just be even more unbelievable.